1 cam on this car now. So this has the stock NPP exhaust. It's idling just under 800, I got it set at 780 or so. Nice little chop, nothing too crazy, super drivable. Alright, I'll click it off, we can take a look at the graphs. Alright, so again on this car I got all my working runs up there, but again, do a lot of stage 1 cams. Those are my 3 working runs. So looks like the highest one, that last pull you just saw, 485, 451 torque. So let me clear them off. We'll take a look at the last one. So there you have it. Another one of our stage 1 cams. Pretty nice curve. Pulls nice to 7. I might even bump the limiter up. I think I got it 69 something, 6980, something like that. I might bump it up to 7100. Again, our valve spring and push rod package, Tronian upgrade. I've taken these things to 73, 7400, no problem. But as the power starts to roll off, there's not a whole lot of reason to take it up that high. You know, maybe certain situations, and you know, if you take them to the drag strip and you're looking for every last 10, sometimes it's faster to wind them out a little past peak. You know, look, peak is 61 right in here, but you can see how it's peaks right about here. You can see how it's carrying power all the way. You know, and even if you rev it out to 771, it's still going to be over 450 power. You know, it's still going to maybe just come down to 450, where your shift recovery is going to be, you know, back to the lower 5s if you're revving it out this high. So you can, in a drag racing situation, you can keep it in this meat, you know, and then same as a straightaway down the road race. Again, this guy's more of a road racer, but he does everything with this car: street, drag, road race, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that's another example of our stage 1 cam. The last video I did, maybe it was a few days ago, that car came in, well, I think it was 479. So these cars are always a little different. For some reason, you'll see the 14 and 15s, and maybe this is just me, but the 14 and 15 LS3s in the 5th gen Camaros will always dyno a smidge higher, and I'm not sure why. You know, we see that with the crate engines too, the LS3 crate engines. As some of the later ones we've got in the past few years, they usually, you put them in a car, and we've even replaced, you know, LS3s for guys with crate engines in 5th gen Camaros with our stage 1 cam, and the crate engines make a little more power for some reason. I don't know if it's casting or cylinder head castings are better or something like that. The core shift isn't as bad, but so yeah, that's a stage 2 package being, you know, upgraded from a stage 1 package with our stage 1 cam. So that camshaft bumps this car up to a stage 2 car. So, you know, just like earlier in the video from a few days ago, you can see nothing's changed. It looks exactly the same, but that's pretty much all we did. So that's a good apples to apple, you know, apples to apples comparison between the stock cam and our stage 1 cam. So I'll bring up this car. I do not have a stock baseline for, but I did do a baseline on that video you guys saw. So the last video, or early in the video I should say, because I'm making multiple videos on this car over the course of a week here. So you can kind of see, of course, we're losing a little bit down low. I'll start there. That's kind of typical. You know, this car was a pretty strong car as it was, and that's kind of your trade-off there. You can see right at 3,000 though, that camshaft takes over. So Some of the other cars I'll do, you know, like that other one I did from a few days ago. That there from the baseline, I was able to make more down low just because the car wasn't previous tuned. It didn't have it, or at least not sure. The tune was unknown. It had a cold air. You know, so this car I tuned, this 428. I tuned this car 3 or 4 years ago with the headers, the cold air, and the off-road connection pipes. So again, this is where that car was with the bolt-ons, with the long tubes, no cats, the stock cat back, and that Roto-Fab cold air. So that's what that red line is. That was my old. So I try to, you know, obviously when we dyno tune these things, even with bolt-ons, you're able to get a bunch more power and, you know, down low with the stock cam, but that you can kind of see the trade-off. But now we'll move on to the good. Obviously, you know, in any sort of racing situation, it's rare that you're going to be below 3,000 RPM. Maybe on a road course you'll get caught or you forget to downshift a gear or something like that. But normally you're, you know, the lowest you're going to go in any sort of situation like that is about 3,000. So there is no trade-off there. And once you get above 3, obviously, and then when you get above 5,000, that's really where the gain is huge. I mean, that's where you're gaining that 50 horsepower. So, and obviously, you know, on top of that, you're able to extend the usable rev range of the engine. Again, I can bump this out to, you know, 7,100. I kind of tailor rev limits to what the guys are going to do with the car. You know, if it's just a general street guy that doesn't race, just, you know, was in here for some sound and a number, which there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys, that's what they do. They don't really want to get to the racetrack, and so I'll usually, on a situation like that, I'll leave the rev limiter a little lower. Maybe somebody that's not quite as experienced of driving the car. This particular customer he's raced cars, he's been racing cars for a long time. He races go-karts. This car will get used at the track, will get used at the road course. So I'll probably raise his rev limiter up a little bit more, just so give him because he knows what he's doing. He knows where he can watch a tack. He knows where the red line is. He knows where he's, you know, where he needs to be with the tachometer. So I feel comfortable with him letting it go up to 71. So sometimes we get these customers that like to just do burnouts and bang them off a limiter, and then I'll set them a little lower. Otherwise, you know, we don't need cars banging off a rev limiter for 5 minutes straight trying to blow its set of tires out, you know, especially a high rev limiter. So again, different situations. None of my tunes are cookie cutter. They're all tailored to specific customers and specific modifications, obviously. So I'm really happy with that. 45 is a really good number for, I mean, that's basically a cam bolt-ons. That's a stock intake manifold. That's pretty good. So no head work. We haven't taken anything off the top of this engine other than digging into the middle of it for the camshaft. So little data log, obviously. Nipping the knock sensors, just a smidge on this one. Probably pull a tiny bit of timing out, you can see. But air fuel, 0.87, 0.88, 0.87, you know, right there. Timing, again, typical cammed LS3, about 27 degrees. Pretty flat across the board. I do need to pull, again, not completely done. Just because I'm done dynoing this car doesn't mean I'm done tuning it. So I need to pull a degree out right here. You can see the knock sensor. That's these little nibbles, like 0.2, 0.2, 0.6. I don't worry about those, but this one's a little bit, that one's a little wide, 0.7, and it's kind of a long knock. That'll pull a degree out right there. So, and that'll take care of that. That's real easy. That's just that one spot where we hit the peak air mass at 1. So I got plenty of fuel there. I'll just pull a little bit of spark out. That's easy. This car is going to be with us through the winter time, though, so I'll have a chance to get this thing out on the street and run through the gears a couple times. And we always do that. You know, customer's discretion. We do that. We will take them out. I got some streets in Mexico that I take the cars to and run them through the gears, especially a car that's going to get raced at the customer's discretion. If they, you know, that we will always ask them that, hey, do you mind? You know, we obviously street drive the car, but because you race it, do you mind if I take it out and run it through and put it through the paces a little bit and take it up to RPM, and, you know, not necessarily have to wind fourth gear out, but, you know, I'd like to,
you know, maybe obviously a second gear and maybe a little bit of a third gear wind out. So, but yeah, that's again, a little data log. I know you guys have seen a bunch of these in my other videos. So pretty typical thing. It's the same exact data logger set I use for all E38 and E67 computers. So this car is going to come off the dyno, and we're going to tuck it away for a couple more months until we see some nicer weather. It's about 10 degrees out, and we got a couple 3 inches of snow last night and early this morning, and so we're in the middle of winter. So this thing's not going anywhere outside for a little while. So I'm done with the dyno tuning, and it'll continue to hibernate in the front of our shop. We kind of have that luxury here at Nickey where we have our new shop has a huge showroom up front, and we can customers that bring cars in for the winter time, we can store them for them. So yeah, that's that. Again, that's that 1LE. Really nice looking car. It's got a really nice stance, sitting on some lowering springs, and he's got some ZL1 brakes on it and some brake hoses, and the car's pretty sweet, pretty nice piece. So yeah. So until next time, guys, that'll do it for this car, and keep checking back on the channel, and I'll have some more stuff on the dyno, and we'll see you then. Thanks.